Let's roll. This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency, the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the people that bust hope, and everybody else in between. Let's do this thing big bang style as we throw it down. Bellwork style. We're in New Jersey. We're back on the East Coast. We're kicking it Monday Night Meltdown style. We're picking it up after a crazy week in Las Vegas, Nevada, an epic week in which somehow I found myself sitting in between Pat McAfee and the legendary Dan F. and Patrick. You can't wrap up a week in Vegas any better than that. We had a wild Super Bowl. Game goes to overtime. You know, in hindsight, that's probably the only regret that I have. We did pick San Francisco to win the football game. I should have known better, especially after we saw Shanahan was drunk on Monday night. All right, at the NFL media night. But all kidding aside, you know, there was a high probability this game was going to end up going overtime, wasn't it? And it was a wild ride to end up getting there, but it did end up getting there. Crazy that it ends up getting to 47 when it was all said and done. But there were a lot of things, and this is something to remember going into the Super Bowl next year. Super Bowls are hard to pick, man. All right, and this is the third year in a row. We talked about winning margin, 1-6. You're getting plus 300. Remember, I talked about a prop a lot last week. San Francisco to win the first half, Kansas City to win the game, plus 550. All right, we took McCaffrey to have the first reception for the Niners at plus 275. He didn't get it, but we took Travis Kelce to record the first reception for the Chiefs. He did, plus 175, over 3.5 field goals, plus 140. Team that scores first to win the game, no, plus 145. I could go on, man. We were banging the drum, man. A lot of plus money wins. We crushed the second half, and I normally don't get out the hedgers, but I wasn't really getting out the hedgers. It was 10-3 at the half, right? And we were live with Scott Farrell and Joe Ranieri in this studio last night for the game. And in the second half, I was like, man, Kansas City are going to come back. You know, if San Francisco wins, they're not going to win by 5 points. It was 4.5. It quickly went down to 3.5. And the total was 36.5 at the half. So our main regret, really, when it's all said and done, was I should have had a play on this game to go to overtime as well. And Christian McCaffrey to score the first touchdown. Problem is, it was plus 300. It wasn't enough, but in hindsight, it was enough. We'll get the Raging Redhead Cam Stewart's thoughts on this. Joe Madden will step up and in and join us. George Kurtz kicks it with us. And our boy Mo Khan back in the rotation. Feels like a little while, man. Last week we didn't do this program. Shout out to everybody joining us on SiriusXM channel 159 right now. I am Gabriel Morency. This is SportsRage. We're back from Vegas, but we're on the East Coast right now. We're in the SportsGrid studios, and we had a great time in Vegas last week. Some great guests, great content all week long. A lot of our guests, a lot of winners, because a lot of people pick Kansas City on the program. But we picked some winners tonight as well. Hitting the New Jersey Devils, Philadelphia Flyers. We're on the Milwaukee Bucks right now. This basketball game with the Milwaukee Bucks, to me, this was like they needed to win this game, right? You guys threw a coach under the bus that was 30-13, man. All right? And then you're not winning basketball games. So you can blame Doc Rivers all you want. Like, blame the players, because the players didn't like a dude that they were winning with. So they brought in a dude that they hoped that the players would like, but now they're not winning. But you knew they would win tonight. They're rolling right now. The Clippers are smoking hot. We got a Clipper and T-Wolf game coming up here tonight in the late night hours. And we've got some NHL action. I look forward to Joe Madden's picks, the Raging Redhead Cam Stewart. Speaking of returns, Marc-Andre Fleury returns to Las Vegas tonight. And if you guys remember, when the Montreal Canadiens went to Stanley Cup finals a couple of years ago, whatever it was, I don't know, I think it was 3 years ago. Nevertheless, 2-3 years, probably 3 years ago. It's hard to keep up with this. Yeah, it had to be because it was limited fans due to the pandemic and all that crap. So, if people remember, though, I said Marc-Andre Fleury will not do well going back home, right? There's something about it. Quebecers, like Celine Dion never goes back to Quebec. She knows better, right? She's like, no, I'm doing pretty well out here in Vegas. I don't really see a need to go back. And you know, Marc-Andre Fleury didn't have a choice. He had to go back because, you know, the Vegas Golden Knights were playing the Montreal Canadiens. And I said, this is going to end really badly for him. And what happened? He ended up, like, misplacing a couple of pucks. Like, the wheels fell off. He never played for them again. They ended up trading him after, and they didn't even tell him about it. I feel a little bit differently about this one. All right? Like, I feel a little bit differently about this. I don't think there's any guarantee the Vegas Golden Knights win this hockey game. I think Marc-Andre Fleury, the angle, I don't want to get in front of him. All right? I don't want to get in front of him, so we'll see what Cam says. We'll see what Joe Madden has to say. Now, as far as the Super Bowl is concerned, it was an epic second half. We told you about more points in the second half. Oh, yeah, but Morency, the Kansas City Chiefs are 18-2 to the under in the second half and 19-1 in the fourth quarter and to the under. And okay, fine. That's in the regular season. Super Bowls are the same. If you'll notice, Super Bowls kind of repeat themselves over and over. We talked about the first offensive play of the game being a rush play. 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls, it's been a rush play. Make it 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. Talked about the team that scores first not to win the game. That was 5 of the last 7 Super Bowls. Now it's 6 of the last 8 Super Bowls. We're going to go back to a lot of these next year, man. The both teams to 20 was one that I played pretty large on. And that was sort of like a miracle that it got there. But when it's all said and done, everybody's going to play the blame game. There's been some really smart takes in the last 24 hours. And there's been some really stupid takes in the last 24 hours. I don't know if Shannon Sharp's spending too much time in the gym or something like that, and all the muscles are squeezing his brain, but he's blaming Brock Purdy for the loss. You're blaming Brock Purdy? Brock Purdy was throwing bullets. Brock Purdy was throwing dimes. Kyle Shanahan, once again, and it's almost impossible to believe that once again he blew a double-digit lead in a championship game. All right? This is the 4th time now, man. All right? It was 28-3 when he was the offensive coordinator of the Falcons against the Patriots. He had a double-digit lead going into the 4th quarter against the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. People don't talk about it much, but the Niners had a double-digit lead over the Los Angeles Rams the year the Rams won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago in the conference championship game. And now, once again, and we talked about it a lot, it was one of my bigger plays, San Francisco to win the first half. Patrick Mahomes, now in 4 Super Bowls, has never had the lead at the half in any one of the Super Bowls. Kyle Shanahan always has the lead. And I sort of kidded a couple of times last week that, San Francisco wants to get a lead and, they're this and that, and they did. But I also said, but maybe they'd be better off trying to play from behind. Because playing with a lead clearly is something that Kyle Shanahan doesn't know how to deal with. You know that they didn't get a first down, right, in the 3rd quarter. And there were 9 plays. They threw the ball on 8 of them. You've got a lead in the Super Bowl. You got Christian McCaffrey. You could have used Mitchell more. And you threw the ball 8 out of 9 times. You did everything in your power. We have a lot to unpack. Why didn't you call timeouts before the end of the first half to save yourself more time to let Moody kick another 55-yarder? We have a lot of questions, and we got answers. This is SportsRage. Bring it.
Purdue on the road in a very difficult place to win in Piscataway, New Jersey. Not in Jersey Mike's Arena, but in the rack. It was tight.
You still have to win these games. Like, you can talk about even equate it to the NBA. Like, OKC just rolling into Detroit, going, yeah, this is going to be an easy victory, and not coming away with the W because you're not focused here. Good move there for the Purdue Boilermakers. You can take a look at Zach Edey.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterbacking the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. It's the Monday Night Meltdown. Let's do this thing as we throw it down in New Jersey right now. We're already missing Las Vegas, Nevada. But we're not missing winning bets. And we've had a pretty good night so far this evening. We kept it light. It's always tricky and different when you're on the road. When it comes to your betting routine, you sort of find a couple of games you like, but sometimes less is more. And tonight we played a couple of hockey games. We were in the area, and we had a couple of local games in the area tonight with the Rangers and the Devils. And I nearly went to the Rangers game, and I was like, you know what? The Devils game is actually effing closer to me than the Rangers game is. But we're not going to be on tomorrow night because we're going to be going back to the West Coast tomorrow. So I didn't want to miss 2 days in a row. I wanted to do a Super Bowl recap on the show tonight. But as far as the National Hockey League is concerned, in the local area, the Rangers beat Joe Madden's Calgary Flames 2-0. The Devils beat Cam Stewart's Seattle Kraken 3-1. No, Cam's a Leaf fan. And,
I don't want to tell anybody
Cam,
I'm a Leaf fan anymore.
I wonder if Cam is crying over the Ottawa Senators scoring a late goal. What's up, Cam? How you doing?
Morency, great job in Vegas. By the way, I saw your picks on Twitter. Great job. It's amazing. The New York, New Jersey two-step with Rangers and Devils. Good picks by you. I was on the Devils, 2 on the puck line, Rangers, but I did have Arizona plus 1.5, the only loser. Texas Tech live in college basketball. And Gabe, we're going to take a shot. Joe, I hope you're on the same side with me with the Las Vegas Golden Knights and the over 5.5 in this hockey game right now. So we're locked and loaded. Texas Tech in college, Gabe. So yeah, great picks, by the way. Good start to your night.
All right, good stuff, Cam. And, you know, I was just talking about that with Marc-Andre Fleury. Marc-Andre Fleury returning to Vegas tonight. And I copped out of the Ranger game. And I was a little worried because Joe Madden, and good to see you, Joe. And I'm having a little bit difficulty hearing you guys. We're going to get it corrected in a couple of minutes at the break here. So I'll just throw you the question and then back off because I know your guys' audio was fine on your end. But I was fearful. I was going to bet on. I figured, you know what? The Rangers are going to play tonight back home, but I don't like teams coming back home. And the Calgary Flames have been playing good hockey. So I was like a little bit, I just sort of had the stay away vibe from that game. But I did like the Devils tonight. But I'll tell you what, Joe, I've got that same vibe about the Minnesota Wild tonight with Marc-Andre Fleury going back to Las Vegas.
Wow, I don't know if I can get there with the Minnesota Wild tonight. I look at the Vegas Golden Knights, and I'm on the same page as Cam here. I think they can get it done, especially on their home ice.
They just scored like 10 seconds into the game.
Who did? Vegas? Hey, there we go. We're on the over, Morency. One for the good guys. There we go.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
That's what we need to see today.
Marc-Andre Fleury and his returns. Remember Cam, when he went back to Montreal? I said,
Montreal.
trust me, it's going to be bad for him. Now,
You even said it.
I thought he'd go
Remember?
back to Vegas. Things would be good for him. They're not, Joe. So you guys are off and running. 1-0 Vegas.
Good start for me and
Okay.
Madden, the Calgary Toronto connection here. But I will say this, Morency, great call by you. Remember Fleury tripped behind the net in Montreal? He doesn't do well with these little, old cities and stuff like that. It's early, but if you like Minnesota, you can get a good price. But I'm staying firm with Vegas. But I really think this game is going to have more goals than people thought. I think the books hung a 5.5.
Yeah.
Bad, low number. I would have bet it at 6 even.
What do you think, Joe?
It is Alex Petrangio's 100th or 1000th game tonight.
Yes.
So I think he's going to come out big. You can look at him for the point. You're still getting that at -108, plus 600 for the goal, or 2+ points at plus 450. We saw what Fleury was able to do in his 1000th game in the last one out. And I do think Alex Pietrangelo here comes out really solid in this game. So I like him in this one. The night's been pretty cold for me, though, on the ice. I had Calgary. I had the Kraken. I thought the Kraken were going to be able to pull it off. Good on props, though. Tyler Toffoli for the anytime goal. Jack Hughes for the anytime goal and was able to cash. Jacob Markstrom over 27.5 save shots on goal. He only allowed one of those goals. So the one was an empty netter by the Rangers.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Flyers end up winning 5-3, but it wasn't an easy trip for them to get there. I was on the Flyers tonight. Arizona Coyotes just keep on losing hockey games on the road. And this Coyote story behind the scenes seems to be unraveling right now as well. The NHL owners and NHLPA are just, they've had enough that there doesn't seem to be any end in sight. And, you know, Cam, we're going to accept playing at the Mullet Center for a couple of years, but not forever.
No, you're so right, Gabe. Like, enough is enough. Like, you're at a college arena, and a joke is a joke. You have desperate people in Quebec. There's other beautiful cities around America, that have arenas ready to go. And we can't keep on just handing the Arizona Coyotes a lifeline and their few fans. So, you know what? There are great hockey fans in the state of Arizona, but just not enough. And you're not going to play in that arena forever. No, you said it. It's a joke. Get it done. Get somebody else in there.
All right. Let's. You guys betting the NBA tonight, the late game? I bet one NBA game today. I just took the Milwaukee Bucks. That's what I'm saying. I'm on fire. I played 3 picks. I actually posted 3 picks. I played a college basketball money line parlay that I wasn't proud of, that I didn't want to share with people. I was like, I'm not sharing a minus like 198 money line parlay, but I'm going to play it myself.
I'm not proud of my money line parlay. I'm not going to tell anybody. Yeah, Gabe, I took Texas Tech tonight because I know one thing about Kansas. Great at home, but in divisional games, sometimes on the road, they get a little bit flaky. And that line at 3 seemed pretty fair to me. I'm going to take a shot with Minnesota. Not a huge unit play because the Clippers are on fire, 8-2 in their last 10. But I'm a Timberwolves guy. You know me, Gabe, as a bear in the forest, a Timberwolves my friend, and I think they can win this game, but I'll take the points. Give me 5 with the Wolves.
Oh, it's a good basketball game. Minnesota are a good team. Minnesota are a good defensive team. They're just, they got Rudy Gobert, man. You've got Karl-Anthony Towns that can score. You've got Anthony Edwards. They're a pretty complete team. I was ahead of the curve with them. When they traded for Gobert and stuff, I was like, man, this could be a pretty good basketball team now. But they had chemistry issues on the court. They just couldn't figure out, they were all in this, Karl-Anthony Towns, Gobert was in his way. Anthony Edwards was like, give me the ball. I'm the best player on the team now. There was a dynamic shift there, but they figured it out right now. You see, and they're not going to be an easy out in the playoffs, this team. If you guys look back to last year, you remember this, Cam? I took them plus the points. In hindsight, when you look back, they gave the Denver Nuggets the toughest series, bro.
Yes, they did. They did.
They played them in the first round. They covered 2 of the games. They battled. They got smoked in one of them, but the games were like battles. Because I remember I took the T-Wolves, I covered, they pushed, and it was like, man, the T-Wolves are battling with the Nuggets, and then the Nuggets just punched everyone in the mouth after that. But the Clippers are so good, but I do lean that plus 4.5 looks tempting, Joe.
Yeah, I think it looks really tempting here. I'm riding on the over 224. I think it's too low in this one because I do think the Timberwolves are going to come out nice and strong. I'm also looking at some player props in this. I'm going to look at Anthony Edwards. That's over 24.5 for his total points at minus 120. The current line is. And then I like Kawhi to go over his as well. His number coming in at 24.5 at minus 108. I see the points coming in this game. I think we're going to get a lot of them. And I really do think the Timberwolves stay super competitive in this. I could see them sneaking out the outright upset win here on the road. I think they have what it takes to be able to do so tonight.
Yeah, Gabe, I'm glad you're in New Jersey too, not in Toronto, to see what Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs did to the Raptors. It was like the Globetrotters versus the Generals, and he was on a ladder. It was one of the Raptors' most pathetic performances ever. They got smoked by the Spurs tonight as 6.5 point favorites.
It was another one, Karen, with the great Gazoo telling me to stay away, dum-dum, and I did.
Me too.
I looked at it, and I saw the Raptors as -6. Yeah. And for a split second, I was like, oh, they're going to win. And I was like, no. Don't trust these guys. That's like, in fact, as a Raptor fan, you know how I'm accepting this, Cam and Joe? I'm not watching. Just point blank. Yes. I don't watch the games.
Oh, took a year off my life. It sucked.
And no one could call me like a poser or fake fan or anything. It's like, suck it. I've traveled thousands of miles to see this team over the years. I'm not watching bad basketball. Wake me up in 4 years when you're rebuilt.
Exactly.
Oh, I'm serious.
Purdue on the road in a very difficult place to win in Piscataway, New Jersey. Not in Jersey Mike's Arena, but in the rack. And it was tight.
You still have to win these games. Like, you talk about even equate it to the NBA. Like OKC just rolling into Detroit going, yeah, this is going to be an easy victory, and not coming away with the W because you're not focused here. Good move there for the Purdue Boilermakers. You can take a look at Zach Edey.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is Sports Rage. I am Gabriel Morency. We're kicking it live from the Bellworks Studios in New Jersey. Picking up the pieces following an epic second half in overtime of football in the National Football League. And it really is amazing, like, what the what you go through if you actually win. Like, did anybody see Patrick Mahomes today? Like, he was literally wasted at the... They presented him with, like, this MVP football and stuff. I'm like, this guy's going to drop it. Like, he literally looks like he hasn't slept, and he's doing TV hits all day. Next thing you know, he's at, like, Disneyland tonight, and he's there with Mickey Mouse. He literally looked lit up. Like, his face, and you know what I mean? Like, not just like his face was, like, turning sideways type of deal. And it was almost to the point where it's like, all right, listen, we can't have him out like this. Like, you know what I mean? I know he just won. Like, it's almost like, listen, you got to give the guy 48 hours and he'll show up to Disneyland. Like, do you really need this? Think about it, Cam. Like, do you need him to be here now? Like, dude, I'm drunk, all right? Like, we were in Vegas. We just won the Super Bowl. Like, they went hard. I saw some videos of that Chief party, man. They went hard. The guy's on Good Morning America this morning. Like, and he looked terrible. He's like so beaten down, his face is all crooked. And, you know, Joey's a brand. I'm just thinking, like, if I'm his agent, I'd tell everyone, listen, we're not booking any interviews until Wednesday or something like that. But quite the party, Cam.
Great point.
Deja vu all over again, wasn't it, with San Francisco? Yeah, this one was more painful than the last Super Bowl loss, I think, if you're San Francisco. The last one, the wheels fell off. You lost by double digits. This was different. Like, you had it. You let him off the hook. You had it. You let him off the hook. There were numerous times that San Francisco could have finished Kansas City off, and they didn't. If they would have converted on that third down, they would have won the Super Bowl. If they would have stopped KC on a fourth down, they would have won the Super Bowl. It's amazing how Shanahan finds himself in the exact same situation over and over and over again. Yeah. Like, yeah, it's incredible that he had a double-digit lead and managed to lose to the same team again.
I saw your tweet, and I couldn't agree more, and I said the exact same thing. It's like, you're running Christian McCaffrey on a pitch, and he's getting 6 yards, falling forward. How do you ice a game? You beat down a team, and you turn it into a war. Well, this guy's not throwing the ball. They had control of the game. They played a perfect half, 3 and out. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing? Don't get away from it. And Shanahan did that with the Falcons, too, in the Super Bowl. You said it. I'll tell you, Morency, being a 49er guy, support my friends. The blackout game against the Ravens, the heartbreak with Blessing and Andy Isco with the Jimmy Garoppolo fourth quarter BS there where they blew that game. He's turning out to be a choking coach. And that's the whole thing. The Kansas City Chiefs brain trust outdueled the 49ers again. I can't believe the Niners lost that game, but yes, I can, because they don't know how to put their foot on a throat, and you said it. Bad game plan. You run the ball, and they're passing. It was just such, they're so stupid. This team's unreal. They're gaggers, man. It was a horrible loss. I'm with you.
Well, to me, and we'll bring Joe back in here. To me, Joe, there's always like a lot of little things. Like when Buffalo lost to Kansas City, people talked about, they missed a field goal, and Bass missed a field goal. There were a lot of things that happened leading up to that, and even if they would have made the field goal, there would have been a minute and a half left in the football game, minute 45 left in the game anyways after the fact. But for me, what happened was where it started was late in the first half when Kansas City scores, Shanahan had 2 timeouts left. And I was yelling. I'm sitting on, we're sitting in the studio here, and I said at the time, and it was about $1:30, $1:40 left at the time, and I said, if I'm Shanahan, I got to start thinking about the timeouts. KC are already in field goal range, Joe. And if they're already in field goal range, they're going to score. So it's one of these deals where it's like, just make it happen fast. Whatever's going to happen, if we can stop them, God bless us, and make them kick the field goal. If not, whatever, we'll get the ball back at least with 50 seconds left, and our kicker just made a 55-yard field goal. So we could have gotten a 3 back. And I was complaining about this, and it was a little thing that people didn't really bring up. A couple of people brought it up today, wisely. And then I got a smart tweet today from, I believe it was Oman in Boston. And we said, I'm a Patriot fan, and he had a long list of all these instances in which teams scored with like 8 seconds left in the first half, 6 seconds, getting the ball back late That was a big mistake by Kyle Shanahan right there. That was conceding. He just sort of conceded. Yeah. And the big point about that was Kansas City were the ones who were getting the ball to start the second half. So it was imperative to break up the 2-for-1 that Kansas City were going to get out of that. If I know this, and Dan Orlovsky knows this, and Mina Kimes knows this, I don't know how the hell Kyle Shanahan didn't know this, Joe. And, a lot of other stuff that happened in the game, not Shanahan's fault. It's not his fault that an extra point gets blocked. It's not his fault that a punt somehow bounces off someone's ankle, right, and right to a 49er, right to the Chiefs off the 49ers' ankle. There was a lot of bad things that happened to Kansas City, but if you don't play perfect football against these championship teams, you're going to lose, and that's what happened yesterday.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. It was a complete chess match out there, and Andy Reid really did outdo Kyle Shanahan, and that was my biggest concern about backing the 49ers was when you look at that coaching matchup, we know who the better coach is, and it's Andy Reid. And in those situations, and when you put Mahomes under pressure, he's proven that he can get things done. If Kansas City had the ball last in that first half, I tell you, Gabe, you're right. Kansas City would have gone for the jugular there. They wouldn't have not called those timeouts. They would have got more points on the board. So for the 49ers not to do that, that's a bad coaching move there. And I think the beginning of the end really hit home for me as soon as we had that punt return that went off the ankle, and then KC was able to get it right there in the red zone and convert. I just had that gut feeling at that point that this game is going to go in the way of KC, because you could just see it start to unfold perfectly. But there was those mistakes. And like you said, you can't make mistakes when you're taking on Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs. You look at that team offensively in the first half, they showed all their struggles. And it almost, like you said earlier in the show, would have been better if the 49ers struggled in the first half, because KC was able to make those adjustments, come back so phenomenally strong, and ultimately win it in overtime. So I feel for the 49ers. I feel for the guys that made those mistakes out there on the field. But at the end of the day, I do think it came down to the chess match between the coaches, and Andy Reid is just a better coach out there.
Well, one thing, Andy Reid didn't really do anything genius-like. It was more so Shanahan just made bad decisions along the way. And then after Shanahan, for whatever reason, and we can get into them not knowing the overtime rules and stuff, does it matter? Yes and no in a way. Either way, you need to make plays. But it was so wild that Mecole Hardman didn't know that he won the Super Bowl with that catch. And you can tell by his reaction. He crosses the line, the goal line, he looks around and he has the ball. And Mahomes said after that he didn't know until Mahomes was running over to him. And Mahomes was like yelling, and Hardman said to him, we won. And so, there's a big thing about the Niners not knowing. No one effing knew, okay? Players don't know. They don't care. They're out there. Either way, they're trying to get a first down or a touchdown. But Shanahan has to know, and I don't think he did, actually. He said he did. There's video that proves he kind of didn't know after. But the whole point, whether all that notwithstanding, why in the world would he take the ball first in overtime? And I get it at times, you know what, you want to be aggressive, right? They took the ball to start the game, which that's the first time it's happened since the Saints did it 14 years ago now. So I get him wanting to be aggressive. Okay, give us the ball, we're going to score and all this. But the thing is, if you don't score, all they need is a field goal after and you're done.
Yep.
If you do score after, you get a field goal or whatnot, the whole point of this after was you gave Mahomes and the Chiefs an extra down to work with. If you get the ball first, you're not going to be going for it on fourth downs. You're going to be like, all right, we got to punt it now. If you're Kansas City, if whoever gets the ball last knows, suddenly you're in four-down territory. When you're in four-down territory, it expands the playbook. And it's like giving a team the last at-bat or an extra at-bat. So you're giving Mahomes the ball and an extra down to work with. And it came down to a fourth down once, and he succeeded on the scramble. And then Shanahan said after, well, I spoke with the analytic department this week, and we thought that if we traded field goals, it would be best, and then we could win the game after. And I'm thinking, you couldn't even stop them once. Why are you thinking about stopping them twice? And thinking about about this going about 3 times, it just didn't make any sense at all, Cam. Like I said, and these are just little things. They're all cosmetic. It's all like, it's not the end of the world. You still have to stop them. You still have to score, etc. But there's all these little mistakes. That's what adds up. And that's what cost the Buffalo Bills. Sean McDermott just sort of, I'm going to run a fake punt that's not going to work for whatever dumb reason out of the blue. That's not Andy Joe. That's not Andy Reid being a genius. That's Sean McDermott being an idiot, right? Harbaugh got out of his realm, but that's what great teams do to you.
You're right.
It's like great fighters. You know, they always say after, we played our worst game somehow. It's like, well, no, did we? Michigan said that after they played Georgia. They said, we haven't played that bad in 2 years. Did you? Or were Georgia that much better than you?
Yeah. You know Morency, too. What guy with the ball in his hands at the end of the game is going to win anyway? That's the whole thing. You give Kansas City the ball first, and then whatever they do. You know if you get a field goal, they're going down to get a touchdown. The minute San Francisco got a field goal, I look over at my buddy, we're done. You knew it, I know it, everybody knew it. You're absolutely right. They had to get the ball first.
Well, in the history of the Super Bowls, whoever has the ball last wins in these instances. Don't give Mahomes the ball of all people.
Purdue on the road in a very difficult place to win in Piscataway, New Jersey. Not in Jersey Mike's Arena, but in the rack. And it was tight.
You still have to win these games. Like, you can talk about even equate it to the NBA. Like OKC just rolling into Detroit, going, this is going to be an easy victory, and not coming away with the W because you're not focused here. Good move there for the Purdue Boilermakers. You can take a look at Zach Edey.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
This is SportsRage. I am Gabriel Morency. We're kicking it live in New Jersey. Let's do this thing. Super Bowl 58 is done, but the questions and the recap continues. The analysis continues. There's a lot of strange stories coming out after the fact. We were just talking about the San Francisco 49er players not knowing the rules of overtime and admitting it after the fact. If you recall years ago, Donovan McNabb in a regular season game got ripped for that. In which he said after, he goes, man, I was out there. I didn't even know the game was over. He goes, I thought we kept playing. And they were like, oh, how does a quarterback not know the rules of overtime? I don't blame them. I really don't. Like, why would you expect him to know the rules? Like, honestly. Like, and if anything, that's on the coach. If you guys remember, it was in the CFL this year. Remember that, Joe, in the CFL earlier this year? It was early in the season. A dude on the Edmonton Eskimos, Elks, excuse me, the Elks. He took a knee in the end zone, and he cost them the game.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
They lost the game.
He didn't know. I'll just take a knee.
He ran around and he was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a knee.
Yeah.
And they're like, no. And they lost by one. Yeah, they lost by one. And everyone was like, oh, what an idiot. He needs to know. And it turned out after, no one told him.
Yep.
He signed like 2 weeks earlier with them. No one told him, by the way, you can't take a knee here. It's going to cost you a point. It cost them the game. That was on Chris Jones. That's not on the dude. The guy, his job is to catch the ball or whatever. You got to tell them what their job is. So, if you're the head coach of the Super Bowl, though, Joe, you got to know the rules. I mean,
yeah,
and
absolutely.
Andy Reid did, as you talked about, the little things. Andy, because I don't know, Andy Reid's not some genius, but everyone screws up around him. But at least Andy Reid knew the rules. And it turns out, too, that the Kansas City Chiefs, it was planned that they would go for two. If needed in overtime, that they would go for the jugular if the game was tied, etc., and continued. They would go for two to try to end it, which would have been epic. Can you imagine if it would have come down to like one play with the Super Bowl on the line with them going for it? It would have been crazy, Joe. But it just goes to show, like you said, about the aggression factor, and I talked about that with them not using the timeouts. And going back, guys, the Philadelphia Eagles, when the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl, and they beat the New England Patriots, they played the Minnesota Vikings in the conference championship game. All right? It was a close game in the first half. It was, it was like 7-7 type thing. Philadelphia scored like in the second quarter, midway through the second quarter, 5 minutes left or something. And they made it 14-7. But it was a football game. Philadelphia got the ball back with like 20 seconds or something, 30 seconds. They were on like their own 20-yard line. You know what they did? They ran a run play on the first play to make Minnesota think that, and then boom, they threw a bomb to Torrey Smith. And he caught it for a touchdown. And like the last play of the half turned into not 14-7, 21-7, and then Philadelphia got the ball after. Next thing you knew, it was like 28-7, 35-7, and the game was a rout. It was 14-7 with like 20 seconds left before the half, but Philadelphia said, you know what? Let's go for the jugular, man. Let's bury these guys right now. And it blew my mind too, guys, because I was so like baffled that Shanahan wasn't using the timeouts to have even 40 seconds or something. And if you guys remember, they got the ball, I think it was with like 20 seconds, 22 seconds or something. And they handed it off to McCaffrey, and he popped it for like 12 or 13 or something. And it was like, whoa. Now you call timeout, and take two shots, two passes to get it into Moody's range. He just hit a 55-yarder. He could probably have gotten up to like 57, 58. And who cares if you miss? It's the end of the half. Like I said, to me, that was the beginning of the end of his wussiness. It was like, oh, we're good up 10-3. And you notice, Cam, it's like a hockey game. They dominated them so much in the first half. Yep. To only be up 10-3 was a big failure, actually. And everybody knew it. I knew it.
Me too, Morency. Excellent points. The first thing I said, I go, can you believe we've sacked Mahomes? We kicked their butts, and we're only up like a possession. That's exactly what I said. I go, this is not going to go well for us. And I was really like, first of all, they weren't even expect to sack Mahomes in the game. And the first drive, too, like, despite that, McCaffrey was moving the ball and he fumbled the ball and Kansas City recovered. Like they made mistakes and they still dominated that game. That's the problem, Renzi. We've seen this before, and you know sports too. You got to go up over a couple of possessions against Kansas City. You got to put your foot on their throat. You let them linger, they're coming back to life, and you're done. And that's exactly, these teams need to know that. You have to kill them. They just can't be killed. Like your boy Jason, Renzi. Nothing kills him. He'll find a way to come back, knife in hand.
No, I live forever, as he said on my my autographed mask says. And Patrick Mahomes still has some football life left. He's only 28 years old. He's proven it doesn't really matter who's around him. Andy Reid, there's no reason for Andy Reid to ride off into the sunset, Joe. All they do is keep winning. And one thing, every team needs to be motivated by something. Oh, Minnesota just scored again, 2-1 Minnesota Wild, 5 minutes left in the first period. I warned you guys that this is a Vegas trap tonight.
You did. It's not over, but I'm actually thinking, the over was the better play of the game. Now, I smelled the trouble too, Morency. This time I didn't listen. With the Raptors, I listened to the dumb speech, but this one I'm like, you know what, another thing? Come on, guys. Come on. That line was $1.40. That's low for a Vegas game. I fell for the low-hanging fruit.
It had trap written all over it, Joe. I said it. It's not over yet, but I'm telling you. Like, Mark R.J. Fleury's not even playing, but it didn't matter. I was like, nah, this is one of these games. Even if he's not playing, the story's all about him going back. Guys on Vegas are going to talk to him all day. Hey, how you doing? Hey, it's just one of these distractions. Not to mention as well, the effing Super Bowl was in Vegas, guys. How hard do you think the Vegas Golden Knights, like, how many of them went to the game last night?
True.
All of them, probably?
Partied.
It's an interesting point. How many Vegas guys went out and partied last night, whatever? But they're good athletes. They can shake it off. But you're right. Like them, it's right in their backyard. They might have been in a couple after hours. You're right.
The Super Bowl was in Vegas all week, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was parties all week. It wasn't one night. It wasn't one night.
Yeah.
And they're
guys
pros.
Like
I get they're pros and they're battle tested. Like, we live in Vegas. We're not getting wasted every day because we're in Vegas. As Super Bowl week, they did. And how about this for a story, guys? Earlier in the week, I'm in my hotel room and I'm watching. It was the night Edmonton played against Vegas. And it goes to show the power of Pat McAfee. So Vegas beat Edmonton. And I'm watching like the local, I don't know, I think it was Fox or something. I'm watching the local news in the room. And they come on, with their sports. And, hey, I'm at the arena, and, Vegas Golden Knights Super Bowl week. And they had the Edmonton Oilers streak. And he said, the media scrum was cut short tonight because Pat McAfee and his crew showed up to the locker room and they closed the room and they partied. And I don't know if you guys saw the show, but Ty Schmidt was decked out in Vegas Golden Knight gear. Like, they went on the ice, like they drove the Zamboni. They rang the meter before the game, and they got wasted with the Vegas Golden Knight players. So, like the Vegas Golden Knight players were like going to parties all week and stuff. It had to catch up to them a bit. And I think tonight might be the night, guys. You're going down because of it.
Yeah, you might be right, Morency. An athlete can get away with the hangover the first time and you get by on vibes. It's a couple days down the line when it starts to hit you. We know this.
Yeah.
These Vegas players have probably gotten drunk. I'd say 3 out of the last 5 nights.
I'm going to say under. Over.
Under 7.5?
I think maybe 4 or 5. I bet they go for beers almost every night.
I'm being conservative with the 3 and a 5, but I'm not. No. They had morning skates to show up to and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they're playing pretty good hockey.
One of these deals. Yeah, but even the coach is going out with people. Like, everybody is. Like, you know what I mean? It's like,
it's like,
how do you know?
Bowl. Yeah, I'm with you. You're absolutely right. That line was Trap City, and I should have listened to the voice or you.
Well, your over's looking good.
Yeah, over's great.
Everything's
that's not my big play, but I'm on Vegas. Yeah, don't worry, Joe. A lot of hockey left. We'll be okay. Maybe they'll get some electrolyte instead of water at the break. They got to get their electrolytes back because they're hungover. Jugs of the stuff. Come on, let's go. Pedialyte. On 2.
So, Joe, what did you think?
Let's go.
That stuff's amazing. Trust
me. I've been cold on the ice tonight, that's for sure. So I need Aiden Hill to start standing on his head out there. Got him over 26 and a half safe shots. So that's like the last thing to go. If the Wild win this. At least if he can get that, I can break even in this game. Keep my fingers crossed.
Question, Morency, just from a college basketball perspective, I know we talk about Kansas. How do you think about this team? Because their home road dichotomies, like when they're at home, before you went away, they murdered Houston, a very good Cougar team, but you see them at home tonight against Texas Tech, who's by no stretch a bad team, but not great either. Doesn't their road performance concern you when you're talking about a deep run into the tournament? Just saying.
They were without one of their best players tonight, but listen, I'm a big Kansas backer, as you know, every year in the tournament. I've taken them more than anyone over the years. Yeah. I don't like this Kansas team. I don't think they don't shoot the three well. They're two, and Dickinson was Dickinson played at Michigan, so I know this guy well. And it was one of those deals where Dickinson would score 22 points a game or something, 20 points a night, and people would be like, well, how come you're not better? You got this big man that scores 20 points a night. It's like, no, we're not better because he scores 20 points a night. Like, in the modern era, I don't think it works. Like, Zach Edey's not the only good player on Purdue. Who is it? Harris? Like, this team, Kansas, like, they're inconsistent offensively. They've lost a lot of guys to the NBA over the last couple of years. So, Cam, in the big picture, I don't think Kansas are national championship material, and they're not a great road team. They lost last week to Kansas State. They got pumped tonight. Yep. Yeah, they beat Houston on their home floor. Okay, fine, but I don't think Kansas are – I can't say they're not, like, they can beat anybody, but I don't think they can win 4 times in a row, 5 times in a row to get to the championship game. I look at the college basketball. I was looking at it last night, actually, sort of say, all right, where do we go from here? I was looking at the college basketball futures, and I don't see too many teams that can really win, to be honest. Like, I think it's kind of a limited, like, honestly, like, there's a lot of teams, like, let me put an example. Like, Kentucky are like the ninth choice to win. Kentucky get blasted every day. Like, Kentucky are not a national championship team. Kansas are right there at 18-1 with Kentucky. Kansas, they're not a national championship team this year. They're just not. You watch them, they don't have it. Auburn, too flaky. Tennessee, as if. North Carolina, okay. I take North Carolina serious. Davis is a good coach. Baycott, they've got talent, this team, so let's put them on the maybe list. Arizona's always on the maybe list. Houston are turning into the 49ers. Every year, Houston. Okay. Really? Is Akeem Olajuwon playing for them? So I don't want to be chalky, guys, but it really seems to me that UConn and Purdue really are the best 2 teams in the country. I think Purdue are going to win the national championship this year. Zach Edey's going to get it done.
I got UConn at 12. I think other dangerous teams, Marquette at 25. And I hate to say it, the Duke Blue Devils are a pretty good team at 30. I don't want to bet them, but they're better than a lot of the other
25
teams.
now. Yeah,
25.
you're right.
That's
you can't eliminate them. No, you're right. They're good. They're good. And Duke are one of these teams, I think they're getting better as the year goes, too.
Correct.
All right, more on the other side with Joe Camp. This is SportsRage.
Purdue on the road in a very difficult place to win in Piscataway, New Jersey. Not in Jersey Mike's Arena, but in the rack. And it was tight.
You still have to win these games. Like, you could talk about even equate it to the NBA. Like OKC just rolling into Detroit going, yeah, this is going to be an easy victory, and not coming away with the W because you're not focused here. Good move there for the Purdue Boilermakers. You can take a look at Zach Edey.
The early line. Only on SportsGrid.
I kind of thought that Mike would maybe go in a different direction, or at least listen to some people with some different ideas.
If you were going to retain Mike Tomlin as coach, and I believe with both feet that you shouldn't let him really anywhere near this hire. That he had proved over the years that this was not an area of comfort or expertise for him.
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
It is a big I told you so if Mac Jones comes back and Mayo keeps him and the Patriots don't draft a quarterback at number 3. But the fan base is a big problem. I mean, you bring
The
back
fan base will be fine if they win.
There's the if. There's the if. If they win, fan base won't care if you're quarterback in the Patriots if they win.
The Bostonian versus the book.
He's blocked well and tries to cut through the middle. Oh!
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
In the words of Billy Horschel, just shut up. Just shut up, all right? Trying to make a living here. The waste management. The waste management, they really did get wasted for real.
Yeah.
Forget about the Super Bowl, the waste management. It was a whole new level this year. I don't know how this year, I do know how it got to here, but like it was crazier than it was when the Super Bowl was actually in Arizona. Like this year, it's like built up, Cam. You're a golf guy. Like this thing is built up where, oh, yeah. I was there last year. I didn't go. And I was at the Super Bowl, and it was the same week. I had no interest in going. It's just like a jackass frat boy, drunk, let's just be like douche fest. And it culminated yesterday with, I don't mind the fat guy having some fun, rolling in the grass, but dude, you had drunk people doing snow angels in the bunkers. You had people telling Zach Johnson like they want to fight him. Like the golfers were like, please just be quiet. They were like, F you suck. You cost us the Ryder Cup. Like the fans were chirping back. It was out of control.
It is out of control. I thought they were going to light the place on fire. Remember our boy Doug Gim? He like hit a putt game and they started throwing all their cups down. He's like, the guy's got a putt. They had to clean him up like a hat trick in hockey. It was a disaster. And then another thing too. Like,
there's all booze on the green after spilled liquor.
Guy's walking there. He's like, you kids need to calm down. They go, shut up, old man, and have a drink. That's the problem now. If you're over 35, you're not welcome there anymore. It used to be like just people having fun. It's a kids' party now, man. And they start drinking vodka shots 6 a.m. Yeah, long day.
If you look at all the videos, Joe, of the waste management, it's like a frat boy college thing. Like it's like a bunch of 22-year-olds chug, and mouth it off to everybody.
Shut up, old man.
It's unbelievable they let it go that way. It really is. It's crazy.
I'd watch more golf if every tournament was like that.
He's just having a beer, and this young guy goes, shut up. He's like, oh, don't hurt me. Like, it was horrible.
I wonder how Tiger would react to that.
In some of the videos, no, they would be nice to Tiger.
Yeah, they would.
You have to butter the crowd up.